Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just the comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this new edition of YANA. You Are Not Alone. I'm James Trice, your host. The Bible says in Genesis 2:18, it says, it is not good for the man to be alone. And so it's not good for us to be alone, so don't even try it. So today's guest, I want to welcome to the show none other than Reggie Ferguson, and a young man that I got a chance to meet, started doing my work on 38th in Chicago, George Floyd Square, a few years ago, and him and I got a chance to meet, and he is doing some incredible work. So I want to welcome Reggie Ferguson. Reggie, welcome to the show, and tell the audience what you want them to know about you.
Well, my name is Reginald Ferguson, Reggie Ferguson. However, that's fine with me. Born and raised here, South Minneapolis. I'm a father of 8, 4 girls, 4 boys. I'm really dedicated and connected to my children, my family, and to this community that I live in. Community 38th in Chicago, South Side, really. But it's been a focus on 30th Chicago because of the killing of George Floyd. But I've been in South Side all my life. We have still, my grandma passed, so 6 generations. So we got 5 generations of us. Our family's bigger than that, though. But just so the Fergusons is 5 generations. And I'm the CEO and founder of the Agape Movement. So we start off with that right there. That's me, part of me.
Right. Well, talk about the Agape Movement. What does the Agape Movement do? And why did you start the organization?
Well, the Agape started about 40 years ago with Steve Floyd. And then we did another chapter, which was Minnesota Agape Cole. And then I started the Minnesota Agape Movement from the George Floyd Square. We are the ones who closed George Floyd Square because we didn't want the community to burn. And when people is talking about, oh, if it hadn't been video, we wouldn't be here today. Well, we had a lot of stuff that was video. Rodney King video. I'm just going to go way back to then. We watched him get the crap beat out of him. And so it goes back to there. So I only got to name all the videos after that we watch. It's because it didn't burn down. So a lot of places burned down, so there's no memory. So when people come here and we ask them, why did you come here? They want to come here and get a sense of what happened and stand where he was at, is because it didn't burn down. If it had to burn down, they would have never came here. And then people think about it and say, man, you're right. But we started the Agape Movement because we wanted to protect our community. We didn't want to burn down. We still support the protests. A lot of us protested. A lot of stand there. We against police brutality. We was in agreement with none of that stuff that the police were doing. So I just started another chapter of Agape, the Minnesota Agape Movement.
Okay. So talk about that work. What do you all do? You say you help your community. What exactly do you do? What programs do you offer? What support do you offer the community?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, our motto is transforming street energy into community energy. And Steve Floyd came up with that because 40 years ago, he started the first Agape Champions and Agape of Love. So he came up with the motto, transforming street energy and community energy. And with that is we were taking people from the community. I mean, from the community that basically was no crime. We had felons, you know what I'm saying? Gangbangers, drug dealers. I mean, see, whatever it was, we want to transform that energy into community energy, and that means give back and help the community. So what we took from the community, we want to put something back there where there was a hole at, a kid that was missing, or whatever it is. We want to put that back into the community. And I started the um my hood, because we everybody said my hood, my hood, my hood. And putting the neighbor back in the hood is what I started saying. Is because
mm,
now people was like, "This is my hood, man. This is my hood, this is my hood," but it's a neighborhood. So I started saying, "Put the neighbor back into the hood," and with that, we connect with the neighbors, we knocked on doors, and just tell them get back in the neighborhood. Let's all come together, start knowing our neighbors and building with our neighbors, and that's where that model come from. So what we do, we started off with the uh, patrolling. People call it boots on the ground. We started out just the George Floyd Square, as they call it, but we still say 38th in Chicago. And then South Minneapolis, we just walked around, patrolled it, talked to people. Instead of just moving people from one corner to another, we just, where you want to do, where you want to be at. And we started building programs to that. We have a program called 97 Years and Counting, and that's with four brothers. They did 97 years in prison with just four of them. You got one that did 12 years, 24 years. Let me see. 12, 24, 30 years. And who am I missing? So yeah, keys. Oh, and I forgot how many Frank did. But all them years, it came with the 97 years. And
mm,
what that was, I wanted to talk about what was it like in prison, the time that you spent. I didn't want to hear about the weights you were lifting, the books you read. No, I want to know what happened, what broke you. You know what I'm saying? Um, 37, 31 years was my brother James. He did 31 years incarcerated while he was in there. He lost his son. His son was murdered, was in there. My son was murdered. My grandma. So we lost a lot of people while he was incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? He got brain cancer. He almost died a few times. So he talked about those things that he went through when he was incarcerated. Another brother, Marquise, was in there. Before he got out, he lost his mom. Another brother lost connection with his kids. So I wanted to talk about what broke them when they sat in themselves, what made them cry, what they was thinking, what they was missing, because I want people to think about what really visit prison, not as this place where I could pump, you know what I'm saying, get strong and come out here and be this tough person. Because people in our community, we already know that it's a bigger celebration when you come out of prison than it is when you go to college. People's more happy
mm,
to see you. And so I want people to get a picture of what it is like be incarcerated. So that's one
mm,
of the programs we got. And we got Stolen Lives. That's what the 97 years and Stolen Lives is those two of my babies. The Stolen Lives is us killing us. Excuse me. Anytime we take another black man's life, or not even got to be a black man, but we take our own lives, we're stealing it from somebody. When you
mm,
take that child, you're stealing it from the mom, and then when you take that father, you're stealing it from his kids. It could be his wife. So when we take a life, we don't stole that life from the living people that they left behind, and people have to realize that. Um, and then we got to think about us killing us. You know what I'm saying? The stolen lives, however people want to put it, because they don't like talking about black on black crime. But we're taking it. It's something how people will get out and march they behind our protest when a police officer kills one of us. But what about when we kill each other? That we got to think about that because we're taking, you know, and so and with the stolen lives, I focus on that, the fact that we're taking each other's lives. You know what I'm saying? It's already bad that we so divided and we don't stick together. We're not strong. We're not a big force, but yet still we taking each other's life. So that's the stolen life. We got a Burn Bright book club. I think Bridget runs that with the youth. They pick the books. They set the rules. They tell her exactly what they want to eat. So they put a menu together and everything. So and that's to get them back into reading. We don't have enough of our people's reading. So that's to get back. And we got Streets, where Steve runs the Streets program. Um, and that's the youth into sports. We got the Rites of Passage, where we go. Steve does that too. Go to take them to Africa at least twice a year. And you do the rites of passage before you go. You go there, you go to different places, you get a name ceremony, is a name ceremony, and they give you a new name, African name, should I say. Um, and then what else we got? Right now we also got Bridging the Gap. The Bridging Gap is between police officers and community members. And what we do with that is, I don't talk a lot about it because people, you know how people are. So with that, is we get police officers and community members to come together. We do workshops with them. We talk about um, when the police come into our neighborhood, what are they thinking, what's going on with them, and how we feel when we see a police car. When they say F12 or get out of here, we don't want you, and why do we feel the way we feel about police officers in the very first place? So those barriers that we have, and we got to get through those. Because I know people are saying abolish the police. I was saying the same thing. But let's look at it really if we didn't have no police officers. And I can say this is because I lived that. When George Floyd Square was closed, we didn't have no police officers at all. So I seen that. I lived that. I watched that happen. I watched people get shot. I watched people die. You know what I'm saying? The things that was happening, police didn't come inside. So you got to take them bodies and pull them past the fifth. Everywhere there's a fifth at, police didn't come in. So when I start seeing it, I say, is this really what we want? We really want to live like this? Is my bonnets the police? You Are you serious? No. You know what I'm saying? What we have to do is make sure that they change their programming. You know what I'm saying? They change the rules. They change how they police our community. And they start treating us with like respect, like humans. And we got to hold them accountable for that. So what we do is we bring them together and we talk about that. We talk about how we feel when they do what they do, when they come in our community, and we let them talk about how they feel when we say F the police, or when they feel like that people being aggressive to them or cussing them out. And then we talk about how we get past that. We build that. Because police have to police our neighborhood better than they do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we gonna hold them accountable for that. So we have that program too. And what else we have? Oh, and then we got the restorative justice. And in the sort of justice, we go into the prison system. We in Stillwater's. Mainly we focus on Stillwater now. They was gonna close it, so we came out of it, but we back into there. And the last time we was in there, it was Black History. No, it was yeah Black History, so it's Juneteenth. So what we did is we did a thing on them making history, and so we talked about what their goals, what they're gonna do when they come out of prison, and how we can help them, what we need to build, and legacy. What does your legacy look like? So I didn't want to focus on Martin Luther King, um, Malcolm X. I don't really want to focus. I used that to get to where I needed to be at. And yes, Martin Luther King was in jail. He wrote his letter. Malcolm X was in there. He changed. Mandela, um, Nelson Mandela, he changed when he came out. All those things, and I use that to say, you guys can do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Build a legacy for your kids. what do you really want to do with yourself? What is your plans? So when you come out of here, make history. You can do all those things. We just started talking about that, and they was liking it. So we go in there, and that's what we do. We got Juneteenth coming, so we go in there in June, and we're not going to talk about the shackles that we physically was on us, but the shackles we got on ourselves right now that we got on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You might be in there for the drugs, you might be in there for gain, smoking, selling, rape. I mean, whatever it is, you got to break those chains. It's up to you. And we're going to talk about that. Is when you come out of there, let's not talk about the white man. Let's not talk about all this. Let's talk about you releasing yourself. You got the key.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get that chain off. So that's how you're going. That's what you're going to do, breaking the chain. So that's our thing, is
Mm-hmm.
breaking. So we're going to go in there with that. So them is the programs we have at Agape, and it's it's a lot of stuff that we got going on here.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
And I could
yeah,
ask you questions about
and
every single one of them. That's a lot. That's a
yeah,
lot of work.
it's it's a little bit more than that. But yeah, we it's with passion though. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like giving back. And let me tell you real quick how I got here though too though. See,
Yes, please talk about that.
yeah, I'm from the streets. I'm from here. You know what I mean? Born and raised in South Side. And I say that with a smile because I'm a South Sider and I
Were
love
you
that.
were you part of the Dirty 30s?
No, actually,
Okay.
I was before the 30s. Like people don't understand that is and the reason I say that is because it's like all honesty, and I don't even talk about this to people, but you know what I mean? But it's generation had their thing. You know what I'm saying? I had my thing. And then in
What's
the
the thing?
30s, see, I was a love. So I was a blood love. They was
What now? Say it again.
love, be love. You know what I'm saying? And they roll in 30s. You know, it's those things, but at one point everybody was together, but it was generation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And as you get older, you kind of most of them fade away, and you got the 30s. So you hear a lot about the 30s because the 30s was around longer than anybody.
Yeah, but I
You
want you to
know,
talk about you. I want to talk about your background and how you develop a passion for this work. And where did you come from to make you want to do the work that you are doing now?
you know what? In those streets and being part of a lot of negative things that happen in our community. You know what I mean? Raising. You know, I'm out. You know, when I was in the streets, you know,
Talk about your street life. Talk about it a few minutes.
you
When you say you was in the street, what does that mean?
it means you go. See, when I was in there, it's like you get to the ladder and you're going up, and you
What were
there
you
because
doing to go up? The ladder and what? Be more specific. You said you get to a ladder and you go up. You being very vague. Can
okay,
you be
okay,
more specific or as
yeah, yeah,
specific
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah,
you
yeah,
feel comfortable being? Let me say that.
yeah. It's like ranking. When you went back then, it was a rank thing that you when you put in work, that your ranking goes up, the respect comes in there, and I got to that point where I raised pretty high in that ranking, in that respect.
What work do you have to do to raise in the ranks? What do you when you say put in the work? What does put in the work mean?
The work is back then is like protecting your community, don't take no mess from nobody, and putting hands on people at times.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, and standing strong with the organization. I mean, yeah, it was some violence that was happening. There's a lot of stuff that was happening. You know what I mean? Going to other people's cities and 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 doing whatever you have to do.
Okay.
And then you know, it got to that point where you start realizing what you're doing is not right because you start at a young age. You start to believe in that, and then it was a lot of life changing moments for me. That's my brother James always say when he was in prison. I go see him. He said people we used to talk about, it's talking about what happened in the streets and we going through. He said, man, they ain't gonna never know until they go through a life changing moment. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah. He said, when you go through a life-changing moment, that means that changed your life. That's when your eyes open up and you start realizing. And I went through it. And because you could see when you go into so many funerals, man, in these streets, and you see the damage and you see the hurt inside that people that's having, you know what I'm saying, from what people would believe was a movement, but an organization, it really sometimes it takes a toll on you, and you got to stop and you got to think, like, what am I doing? What are we doing? You know, and that happened to me in the '90s, and I didn't
So
know
what
exactly.
woke you up? What woke you up to say I need to stop doing this? What happened to you that made you say I need to do something differently? I need to
You,
wake up,
you,
as you said.
you know, it was a lot of little things that added up to things like that. You know what I mean? People going to prison, you missing people, people dying. You know what I mean? Those sort of things it makes you think. You start to think then. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to funerals. People just getting these lengthy sentencing. So you start thinking like, man, like, you got to rethink this. Like, how do we change this? How do we do something different? You know, and not only that, I was raised in I mean, I raised, but I was in a church. You know what I mean? So I had the God in me. So it was me convicting myself. And I kept saying, man, what am I going to do? And I always told myself, oh, in 3 years, I'll be done. 3 years, I'll be done. 4 years, I'll be done. I kept saying that. Then there was some major things that happened in my life as family members that passed. And it really got me. And then what gave me an eye opening, um, the first one was my relative, well, my relative, when Dual passed. And it was people before them when Dual, it was hurtful. It was like my little brother, you know, and it did something to me. So I kept trying to figure it out, but I had revenge in my eyes. I had it in me. I couldn't sleep at times. Um, and then Wong passed away, or I got killed,
Mm.
and we was at the funeral of my grandma. She said to me, "When is it going to stop?" So, um,
Mm. Yeah. Take your time, brother. Yeah. I'm going to ask you. I'm gonna shift gears here and ask you another question.
oh, we can stay here.
Um. Okay.
Let's stay here. Stay here.
Okay. Okay.
But no, she asked me when's it gonna stop. We losing them. You can see that hurt in her eyes. I didn't know what to say to her. I just looked at her and I said, "Man." And I was like, "I don't know, Grandma." She said, "What you mean? When is this gonna stop?"
Mm.
I just looked up at the ceiling. It was in church, leaving the funeral. I just looked up. She shook her head and walked by. I said, "Man," and it never left me. All that pain that she had, So that those are the moments. And then right after that, weeks later, then I lose my son. Streets. So those are the moments. Like, and then when that happens, you got to figure out what's going to always be in us is when you're from the streets, the first thing coming to your mind is touching people.
Mm.
That's one of the easiest things that you can do. It's easy to take a life, easy to shoot somebody, easy to beat up. That's easy. And then when you hurt and you have pain, it's easy to turn to violence. It's not hard, it's easy. The hard part is when you restrain. That's the hardest part. Yep. That's the hardest part.
Mm.
Yeah. It's really hard. And you know you have the power to do it. And that's take really power to touch people, but when you know it, you know. Um, but see, when I lost my son, I was on that straight edges turning my life. Like I literally I went to prison for a few years and I got out. When my son died. I was doing that walk. And I said I'm gonna continue to walk this walk. And then when he got murdered, it was man, that was worse. But I'm telling people God gonna handle God. They looking at me like I'm crazy. We was in the prisons, brother told me, he said, I was so mad at you, man. I was like, what is he talking about? Um, but you know, I didn't want to be responsible for another life. You know? So whether they took somebody's life, somebody took your life. You know, I just figured God gonna deal with it. And some people told me that was just my test. I don't know if that was my test because we got choices. There's consequences that come with them choices. That is for sure. I had to make a choice to continue to walk this walk. I make a lot of people pay for the pain I was going through. You know, losing my family members, losing my son. I wanted to. And I think things happen for a reason. What I mean by that is timing. If it had happened 3 or 4 years before, 5 years, what would have happened? It was this season, I believe. Before then, it wouldn't have been no stopping.
Mm.
I'd probably be dead or in prison right now, but it wouldn't have been no stopping. And me going to prison and things happening all the way up to that point was God preparing me for what was going to happen. He knew. Yeah. So I said I got to keep walking this walk, and I'm gonna try harder, and I'm gonna try to save many people as I can from, what I'm saying, going through that pain.
Yeah.
You know, it's woo, it's heavy. But it's gonna always be with you when you lose someone. It doesn't ever go away. Some days you could deal with it, and some days you don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's real.
It is real.
It is. And I tell people to always put yourself in other shoes. You know what I mean? And that was my opportunity to think about a lot of people who lost me before I lost my son, before my relative, before Ted. But there's a lot of people that died that close to me. I mean, that's trauma. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of deaths. There's a lot of people that you heard it from dying from these streets. So it's real and it's serious with me in these streets trying to help make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's a headache for people because people don't get it. They don't understand the consequence. They don't understand what they're doing. You know, they don't get it. What you was finna say? I'm sorry, man.
No, brother. I want you to. It was wonderful, man. You needed to get that off your chest. What impact do you think that you have had while doing this work?
Mhm. You know what? That's funny as you say that because at one point I didn't think I was making no impact. You know, um, so a lot of times you think people don't listen to you, people don't hear you because it seems like things are still happening. All the work and all the time that you put into trying to change a person's mind, and because it starts here, you know what I'm saying? And you change your thought and all that. And then sometimes it seems like you're not getting nowhere because you study losing people. You still see people on the streets. I said, but I am because the thank you I get from somebody's mom. I went to prison, and I mean, just sort of justice. When we visited prison, the brother told me that it didn't go on the deaf ears with the things I was saying and doing. He appreciated and that they talk about it in there, and that he loves me and thank you, and it touched me.
Mm.
You know, and out here when people do, you know, when we opened up George Floyd Square, which is 30th Chicago, a lot of people hated us for that. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
mean, it seemed like nobody. I mean, then we came to an attack from everybody, and I mean everybody, different groups, the city, the police, the feds, everybody came, and you would think that we opened up the square for the reason that we did, that everybody would have been like, "Hey," but no, people was losing money, the hustle, the GoFundMe pages they had going on here, us killing us or stolen lives. I mean, people was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? The police, the feds, whatever it is, the reason they was, people knew what we were doing, and it didn't even matter to them. Is the fact that when we did what we did, people did not like that. But just recently, then we did this. What 21?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just recently, within the last year, people saying, "Oh man, thank you guys." You know, and not every single person, but mostly everybody didn't like it. But you got to thank you. Any people who fought against us say, you know what, I didn't like what you guys did, but it was a good thing that you did it. Yes, you know, and when you get those things, then you know, and you feel like yes.
Hmm.
Or when a brother comes back and say, man, he working at the city or working somewhere, and say, man, thank you. You know, thank you. I appreciate you, man. I don't know what I'd have done. You know what I mean? When you get those things, you be like, yes. Then you start seeing it and noticing it, and it's okay. We got to keep moving.
Hmm. What do you think facilitates the well-being of Black men and the quality of our existence?
Ooh, let me say this. Let me feed off that different way, if you don't mind.
Oh, feed up with how you want to. Answer it how you want.
You know what? I stand strong and firm for Black people, and especially Black men. When we started this Agape thing, when it was Agape Code, it wasn't nothing but Black men in here. 21 Black men, and sisters came to me, and nobody dealt with us. Nobody from the city. Nobody wanted to mess with us. And she pulled me in the back and she said, and she might be listening right on this tape. She said, brother, the reason why you have so many pushbacks, nobody like you, because you got 21 straight Black men. You don't have no gay people, no white people, no Hispanic people, no nothing. You got all Black men and they're all straight. And people whispering about that. I was like, man, for real? She said, yep. I said, okay. I said, I don't care. I said, the work that I do and how I'm dedicated to my Black men, it's because of what I was doing in the streets. I was fighting with Black men. I wasn't fighting with Black women. I wasn't fighting
Right.
with white women. I wasn't fighting with Spanish. I wasn't fighting with LGBTQ. I wasn't.
Hmm.
I was coming after other men, and we was going back and forth with each other. So I got to go back and fix what I was messing up. And for me to do that is connect with other Black men that was doing the same thing, and let's come together and let's fix this. So people who had seen that, they had a problem with that. That's fine. I'm not going to benefit. I'm not going
Hmm.
to go get no LGBTQ
Hmm.
just to choose the LGBTQ family or white people or Hispanic
Hmm.
people. I'm trying to fix it because if I was an alcoholic and I'm doing, you would call me to speak to people that was alcoholics. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
go to speak to somebody who was a booster. You wouldn't call a booster to come to speak to alcoholics. So why would I call LGBTQ to come in here to help me fix something we're doing? We're doing black men transforming street energy to community energy. So we need people from the streets that was doing street stuff the way we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to do that, I got to grab them people who could connect with the people from the streets who was doing what we were doing. Because if this dude's a shooter, I need him to talk to shooters. You know what I'm saying? If he was a drug
Mm-hmm.
dealer, I need him to talk to. That's how I did. And for me, it was more black men and brothers that I needed to save. And I told a lot of people that before some women's came in here. And sure enough, women's did come. And sure enough, we did have a LGBTQ at one point sister that was in here. I, she walked in the door. I said, "Cool." She said, "For real?" I said, "Yeah." I'm not going to tell the world that we have. So what? If she wants to say it, she can say it. But before then, we didn't, and I didn't care. I want to help them brothers from taking another brother's life. I don't want a father or a mother to go through what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and if you want to criticize me because I got all black men at the time, that's fine. I'll take it. I'm cool. I don't took worse than that. And I believe in our brothers, and I really do. I've been talking to some brothers out here about this. Is that we are so divided, black people. Our brothers are so divided. It's something how we so quick to take one of our own life before we take anybody else. Not saying that we should take anybody, but I'm just saying we quick to pull a trigger on each other. You know, argument, you shoot and kill that man just that quick on a drop of a dime. Why? Why do we hate each other so much that we'll take that? Why we hate ourselves so much that we'll do that? Doesn't make any sense. We have to learn how to love on each other, and it starts from brothers like me to say that. Just walk away from that. You got to stand strong. And yeah, I get mad. I be wondering. Yes, I do, like a mug. But I say nope. I got to stay this course right here. Love on my brothers and tell them, hey, it's okay, brother. I apologize. I didn't mean to. If I defend you, I apologize for offending you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We
I
got to
do.
do that, and we got to give
So,
to each other. But also, what I won't do is I'm not going to take nothing from nobody who mistreat us, though.
right.
I'm,
Right.
I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand firm for that when I believe that this
Mm-hmm.
brother, this sister is trying to mistreat or take from us, and you're not trying to give us nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna stand firm for that because all
Right.
we got is us. It's all we got. And you know,
So let me
and
ask you.
let
Go
me
ahead.
say real quick, this is all
Mm-hmm.
we got
Mm-hmm.
because you know what? Hispanics got white people, they got native people, you know, they got Korea, they got Hmong, they got all them, and all them got themselves. White people got all these. Anybody who looks close to them, they got them. Who do we have? Just us. That's it. Don't nobody come to save us but us, really. We all we got.
So then how do we focus on our common humanity instead of bringing each other down? How do we focus on our common humanity instead of bringing each other down?
Lift each other up. Do the opposite.
How do
Now
how
let
do
me
we do that? How do we do
listen.
that?
I'm telling you, just right now, this little media, what they're saying is feds with these black people now. They changed that and said, well, or not a fraud. And you know, there's a lot of names is in the papers right now today. And when they come to me and they talk to me, I said, we're not going to knock that person. We're not going to do that. I said, a
Okay.
whole lot of white people did fraud. And we don't even know this fraud. And some of them, they're not even saying that they did fraud. They mismanaged money, according to them.
Yeah.
I said, but ain't there something how all of a sudden, DHS, Attorney General, whoever, all of a sudden they're attacking all these people who did this. I don't know if they did or didn't. I'm not saying they did. But what I'm
Right.
saying is we're not going to spread this rumor about this person, that person. We're going to lift that person up. If they did something wrong, they can fix it. What I don't want them to do, as I told them, is be so broken down that now I'm going to go even below. Now I'm going to do all this. Now I'm going to do some extra. No, let's lift the brother up. If you made a mistake, it's okay, man. Let's fix it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be all right. You know what I mean? We have to lift each other up and say these things and stand by
How,
each other. You know
well,
what I
how else do
mean?
we lift each other up? In other, what ways can we lift each other up and focus on our common humanity?
Mhm.
What ways can we do that?
Listen, I really believe is kind words for one. And sometimes even us brothers, we need hugs. We need
Yeah.
somebody to talk to. We need a space where we can have this conversation just like what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like you getting a brother an opportunity. This might be my time to vent. Somebody was going through my mind before I got on this thing. We need spaces like this to do that, and then encourage each other, another brother, lift his brother up. When I was in prison, these two dudes got in a fight. One dude got beat up really bad, and we didn't get along on the street, so we had our little inside, right? I told this guy, I said, man, did you send him a kite? That's what you know, kite. And he said, no. I said, send him a kite. Look after your guy. I said, and tell him to keep his head up. He just looked at me. I said, yep. I said, we win some and we lose some. When he come out the hole, walk out with his head up. We don't win them all. Just keep his head up. And he said, okay. He said, man, that brother said, thank you, man. He appreciated it. He apologized. No, no, no. He ain't gonna do none of that. I said, just keep your head up. Because Lord, we keep dropping our heads from shame and embarrassment. Keep on, it takes us down to the ground. Keep your head up. We're
Yes.
gonna make mistakes. We're gonna lose some, we're gonna win some, but get ready up and be ready for another fight.
Right.
Encourage
Right.
and you a human being, man. You ain't no
Yes.
animal, you
Yes.
ain't no dog. We're humans, and we gotta start treating each other like we humans. Not like we
Thank you.
less than a human, like other people treat us less than a human being. We can't do it too.
Wow. Thank you, brother. I got one last question for you, man, and we got to close it up. What is your greatest hope for us as black men moving forward? And I want to go broader and say not just black men, but as black people, what is your greatest hope for us moving forward?
And you know what? I'm glad you said that because that's what it is as black people, because we need all of us together. I'm a black man. I know the struggles of a black man. I don't know the struggles of a black woman, but I know she has them. So this is for all of us to together is learn how to love on each other through our ups and through our downs. Is love on each other. I always say my vision for just like where Agape is at one point when I was younger, from here to Phelps Park, I could send my kids to the park. And from here to there, they're gonna be watched from all of these neighbors and these people. And when I hear out the window and call my son's name, it's gonna echo because the next block gonna say, "Hey, your dad's calling you. Your dad's calling you," and they're gonna walk them all the way back here. You see what I'm saying? But we can't have that right now. Is because of what's happening in our world. Is we literally have to walk to the park. You can't read a book. You got to sit there and watch your kids. You got to make sure nothing happens. It's going to be a shooting. It could be a murder, break. Anything can happen. So I want for us is all of us to love on each other and our kids and our families, be protectors of our community. You know what I'm saying? Our families, like it used to be when I was a kid. Protect each other. That sister is my sister. That mother is my mother. That auntie is my auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like back on my shirt, it says, what does it say?
Go
Stop
ahead,
the
turn around. Let
killing.
me see.
What does it say?
It said it
It
takes a
takes a village
village to stop
to
the
stop.
killing.
Right. And that
Yep,
you see our
mothers,
village?
teachers, churches. I see that grandpas, uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, friends, neighbors, right? Churches, doctors, social workers, therapists, counselors, coaches, police, parks and rec.
Yes.
Yes,
That's what we
yes,
our village. And it takes
yes.
that because that's what we had before. You get what I'm saying? We had that. We don't got that no more. And it's us against us. And we have to embrace that and quit disrespecting our sisters, our aunties, and our mothers and love on them too as well. And us as brothers. We can't leave them sisters out. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be, and we gotta be protectors and learn how to be that. What is a man? Okay, I'm ain't gonna ask you questions. I'm just you. That was your question. I apologize.
It's all right. No, no, no. And it was actually we read at time, and I want to thank you so much, man. That was the final question. But one last word would you leave with the people who are watching us on YouTube or listening on Apple and Spotify?
I just challenged us. You know what I'm saying? Is to do better.
Okay.
And first of all, what we got to do is do better within ourselves. Make ourselves better people, a better person to love, a better father, a better husband, you know what I'm saying, brother, mother, brother, sister. Do what you got to do to make yourself better. And then let's start treating and love each other better. I challenge that. And then we go out and help our community. I mean, Go out there and get your son, your nephew, your brother out them streets. Reach for them.
Mm,
Your daughter. You know what I'm saying? Your sister, your mother. You know what I'm saying? Go out there. Let's try to get them and bring them in. And I know
right,
everybody don't want to be helped, but let's just try it. You never know. Let's don't
right,
give up on them, and let's try to save them the best that we can. All we can do is try. And I
that's right.
challenge all of that. And then start respecting, treating, and loving each other better than we do. We the only people that don't. Everybody else do, but we don't. We break down and we tear down. Let's build up and learn to love.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much. You've been listening to or watching YANA. You are not alone, a space for black men really to talk uncensored in a judgment-free environment about what matters most to us. Thank you for joining this episode of YANA with Reginald Ferguson. We want to thank you for joining the show. And until next time, remember, we're never meant to do life alone. So don't even try it. Grace and peace, everyone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard because none of us are meant to do life alone.